Well, perhaps nothing is as painful when you're a child as growing pains. Worse yet, the fact that there's really no way to ease the aches. Well, WATE 6 on your side anchor Lori Tucker is here with some helpful advice in tonight's Caring for Our Kids. Lori.
Yeah, Kristen, if your child is going through growing pains, you probably tried everything from massages to maybe medicine without much relief. Well, Dr. Katie Stordahl from Children's Hospital is here to fill in some of the blanks for parents. First off, thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
What do growing pains concentrate on? I know my kids always said my legs hurt so badly. So let's talk about the areas of the body they affect.
The legs are the most common. Usually it's the fronts of the thighs, the back of the knees, and the calves. And it's muscle pain. It's not joint pain when it's around the knees.
All right, now to a common misconception. These pains aren't always connected to growth. They could be attributed to many other things as part of just a child's developmental process.
That's very true. And the reason that we call them growing pains is because they're usually in 3 to 5-year-olds and 8 to 12-year-olds. And both of those are periods when children grow a lot, so that's why we associate it with growth. The real truth is we're not sure what causes them. We just know that they occur in those times of childhood. They're very common. Up to 40% of children will have them, and they have no long-term consequences.
Oh, that's good, because they are so frightening for parents, obviously. You know, your child complains and you want to make them feel better. What is the best thing we can do to take away that pain without hurting them?
Well, the first thing to do is to make sure that they really are growing pains. Growing pains are usually on both legs. They're usually late in the afternoon or at night. They're not something that changes growth patterns, they don't cause fevers, they don't cause redness or swelling, and they don't cause rashes. So making sure through your doctor that your child really has growing pains. And once that's been determined and you can be reassured that this isn't something more severe, you need to reassure your child too, because these can be scary for kids. They wake them up in the middle of the night, so they need reassurance that they're okay. Tylenol or Motrin are fine to give, and massage that you mentioned is actually very helpful for growing pains.
I would think that would be. How often do you see anybody coming in? I mean, do people come in and say, what's going on with my child?
We actually do see it in the ER. It's not as common as it would be in a pediatrician's office.
Sure.
But when someone comes into the ER with that, obviously we take it very seriously, because if the parent thinks it's emergency, we need to make sure that it isn't an emergency.
And make sure it's not something more serious.
Exactly.
All right, so if it goes on for a little while, you need to kind of think twice.
You do, and your pediatrician can determine that usually just with a history and physical exam. Typically, you do not need any lab tests or x-rays. The only reason we would get those is for fevers or abnormal vital signs, the rashes that I mentioned, or if there's something on physical exam that suggests a tumor or an infection or a fracture.
Something that gives you a red flag. All right,
Exactly.
Dr. Stordahl, thank you so much.
Thank
Always
you.
great advice. So there you go on growing pains. If you have a question about your child's health, just email me at ltucker@wate.com, and be sure to tune in every Thursday here on WATE 6 on your side at 5:30 to see if we use your question on the air.